Get ready. Welcome back. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Late Night Show with Dr. Kojo. I am your host, Kojo, checking in from what was a pretty sunny day here in Los Angeles, California. It was hot AF, but thank you to some water bottles and thanks to the Lord, I was able to make it throughout the day. It was a hell of a day, but we have made it through, and I'm here to talk about a very exciting topic, something that I said we would speak about last week, but I didn't have the time to get to it. Been a little bit busy, so I apologize for not having this live stream last week, but time to talk about how to date while neurodivergent. We've spoken about this before, but I got some different tips and tricks for you all, and I hope to provide like a different angle on this complicated subject. So go ahead and start off by letting me know what your name is, and also letting me know where you're from. So obviously, well, not obviously, but Austin is the OG. Austin is from Missouri. Austin, what's going on? What's up, Austin? I'm checking in live from LA. Austin's from Missouri. We're also streaming live on TikTok as well. So Amy from Rhode Island. Amy, I sent you an autographed book, so you should be getting that soon if you haven't already gotten that. And Austin, we got to get your book as well. Dawson is checking in. Dawson, how are you doing? What's up, Dawson? I don't think I've seen you on the live stream before, so it's very nice to meet you. Let me see who else is on here. Yeah, Amy, the book should be coming soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Stay locked in. The book should be there any moment now. I know my assistant has sent that book out to Rhode Island, so should be there soon. Dawson is checking in from where? Arizona. Dawson, nice to have you. Nice to have you. Junie B. Jones, what a name. Junie, what's going on? Empress, what's up? Emily, how are you doing? It's good to see you. Hey, Cody, doing good things. Hope all's well. The 14th that celebrate 8 years clean and sober. First love of the show goes to Austin. Congratulations. It's hard to be 8 days sober. And if you struggle with addiction, you know what I'm talking about. So 8 years is something to celebrate. Congratulations. People need to see that and to know that it's possible. Jamie's checking in from Ohio. Jamie, how are you doing? Emily, what's up? Empress from Virginia. I'm new on live. Nice to meet you too. I'm happy that you're here. Haven't been here in a while. I'm good. Yeah. Look, and Julie Jones, thank you for saying that. So if y'all are not aware, while I'm streaming, this is a great time to get things done. So we talk about body doubling. It's big in the ADHD community, but anybody can benefit from it. So all body doubling is you're in your space doing your thing, but you either have some noise playing from somewhere, or maybe you have a friend come over and then they start to get some stuff done while you're also working on something. So what I like to do is I'll put my shoes on. I don't have shoes on right now, but I'll put my shoes on, and if friends are over and they're working on their laptop, it will allow me to be more productive. And also, if you're in a relationship, this is a key way to be productive while being together. And if you're neurodivergent, or if you're dating somebody who's neurodivergent, they will really appreciate this, because I know I would. That's one of my love languages, when I'm sitting there just doing my thing, and if I'm dating a girl, if she's just in her own space getting something done, that makes me more productive. And then I feel better about myself because I'm getting things done. I wish I was that clean. I relapsed tonight. Well, hey, it's all good. Look, it's all good. Because the worst part about the relapse is the self-sabotage that comes afterwards. So you relapse, and then after that, you feel bad about yourself. It's harder to pull yourself up. So you're human. Humans mess up. So it's all good. Tomorrow is a brand new day, and we're just going to get after it. That's it. We're going to get after it. I'm doing a live stream, Sayonara. How you doing? Hi, from Arizona, in a relationship with ADHD. You're here to learn more. Well, my assorted views, I'm happy that you're here to learn more, because I have a lot to teach. I got a lot of tips and tricks. So I got 5 for y'all tonight, and I hope that they're going to be very helpful. I asked for a body double today and couldn't get anyone, and glad I saw this live. Well, this is your body double. I'm happy that you're here. Austin. Yeah, you gotta keep trying. And this is also my book. Thank you, Austin. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right. So the first tip: how to date while being neurodivergent. And just to review, if you don't know what neurodivergence is, it's an umbrella term, right? Umbrella. This is not how you umbrellas are like that, but you get the point. It's an umbrella term for people on the spectrum: autism, people with ADHD, people with dyslexia, dyscalculia. I think they've even thrown traumatic brain injury underneath the umbrella of neurodivergence. But I really think that any mental health condition can be, is neurodivergent. If you have bipolar disorder, your brain is different. I would call that a neurodivergence. But when people say neurodivergent, they're talking about ADHD or autism. Those are the two main big ones. And also, so on TikTok, Digital Auntie says, "Is this live every night?" It's not live every night, but Digital Auntie, my system is getting better. So my assistants are, helping me with emails and stuff like that and invoicing, so I can spend more time on the live stream. Every Monday at 6 o'clock California time, 9 o'clock on the East Coast, we do go live. And then throughout the week, when I have a laid back week, we have bonus live streams. So this week, I'm preparing for a comedy show in Atlanta, Georgia. So we probably won't have another live stream this week. But if you want to see me in Atlanta, come out, pull up to the show. It's Atlanta, July. I forgot to talk about it last time. July 11th, Uptown Comedy Corner. And the link is in the bio. And look, if you're neurodivergent and you're looking for your person, come to a show. You might find your person. You might find your person. You might find your person if you're in Atlanta, because I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna need a neurodivergent wife or girlfriend, like an autistic girlfriend or wife, because I make jokes about my autistic ex-girlfriend, and the reason why that relationship was good for me is because that was the only relationship that I was in that I didn't have to explain who I was. In most relationships, and if you're neurodivergent, you probably know what I'm talking about, where the majority of your relationship, you're trying to explain to your partner who you are, and they may get offended by certain things that you do, and it's just your personal idiosyncrasy. It's not like anything that you're doing to offend them, but if you're neurodivergent, you speak a different language from the rest of the world. So it's important to understand who you are, so that way you can articulate yourself to somebody else. But you shouldn't have to, you shouldn't spend so much time trying to explain who you are, especially to your partner, right? Especially to your partner. Why is my mouse messing up? All right, okay. So the first tip right here, the day after your birthday. Yes, Digital Auntie. So it looks like you have a birthday this week. Happy early birthday to Digital Auntie on TikTok. Chastity Meadows, how are you doing as well on TikTok? How are you doing? All right, so number one, the very first tip, go slow and assume positive intent. And I'm talking about communication issues here. And I don't know if my camera is doing this. This is big, expensive cameras. The line is all over the place. But all right, hopefully y'all can see me. Go slow and assume positive intent. So in the beginning of the relationship, you might want to go really fast. I mean, I'm guilty of this. A lot of us are guilty of this. So you go so fast, and before you know it, y'all are already doing the Mickey Ficky, and then it becomes hard to really pull back and then let that person see who you are, and vice versa. So go slow if you can. You have to go super slow, but go a little bit slow because you're trying to understand the other person and assume positive intent. So when you're neurodivergent, there's this thing called rejection sensitive dysphoria, where you take things really personally. And that's how I've been the majority of my whole life. And I mean, I haven't made a complete 180, but I've learned to not take things so personally, and I feel liberated. I feel free. I feel like I'm a free bird, and it's so much weight lifted off my shoulders instead of having to feel like people are out to get me or somebody really wanted to hurt me, right? So when you're in the early stages of dating somebody, they could do something that you might take as rejection. So until you know for sure that they're trying to mess with you or they're trying to, bring game on you, just assume positive intent. Assume that their intentions are good. until otherwise proven. Now, don't use this to, like if there's clear signs of somebody who is trying to manipulate you and play you, don't hang around, but assume positive intent. And that's just a way to not be so emotionally charged in the beginning. You don't want to take things personally. And as I've learned from my psychiatry training, when somebody goes into the defensive, you cannot provide any education. Somebody who's like uptight and they're defending themselves, they're like, well, no education can be provided. Not at all. So assume positive intent. And the majority of times that we do get emotional, it's really a projection from the other person or something else is going on, but it's not really us. We did nothing wrong, but our brain perceives it as if we did something wrong. So that's why we have that, sometimes emotional over the top reaction. Tia on TikTok, how are you doing? I appreciate you. And somebody says, TikTok really said, for you after my breakup. Oh, so whoever on TikTok had that breakup, I'm sorry that happened. But understand that, sometimes breakups will help you find your person even faster. So that's a way of like reframing it. I'm a therapist, so I'm supposed to say that. I was supposed to say that. And also, if you have the workbook as well, the workbook that Austin has been referring to, Feeling Good, a mental health workbook by Dr. Kojo Sarfo. This is the copy that I've signed for myself. Page 34, respect goes well with communication. Yeah. So I channeled my inner Aretha Franklin right here. Hope it reads correctly for y'all. RESPECT, respect. Respect. Kind of clear, maybe not. But when you don't feel respected, your mental health suffers. You may feel insulted, ignored, or angry. These emotions can affect your daily life and how you approach relationships. Austin, you did a good job. You picked a good segment out of the book. Whether you are disrespected on purpose or by accident, it's important to let the person know that they hurt your feelings. If you remain silent about the ways you feel disrespected, the other person may never know how they offended you and might do it again. And that's if we're being nice, because sometimes people do this on purpose. You are left harboring negative feelings that you never addressed. So thank you, Austin. Thank you. You want to assume positive intent. And Junie says, everything is really blurry. All right, let's fix this. I don't know if we can get it clearer. All right, is that better, Austin? Thank you for saying something. Oh, the book was okay. I think the book was a bit blurry, but the stream in general was slightly blurry, so I had to make it a bit more crisper. I appreciate that. Julian says, I have this problem, but luckily I can have conversations and don't get blamed. Okay. Well, having insight is the first step into changing the problem or making adjustments that, you don't have to suffer as much moving forward. Empress says, I have TBI, ADHD, struggling with autistic on and off partner. Well, Empress, anytime a relationship is on and off, it makes it hard just for people to feel safe in it. And then you add the mental health component as well. So, pick one issue and then try to work on it a little bit over time. But don't try and bite off more than you can chew, especially in the beginning. And Tia says, last time I was on your live, I was super depressed and you helped. So thank you. Tia, I appreciate you. Whenever I see the name Tia, I don't know if it's a Mexican auntie or if like your name is Tia, like Tia and Tamara. And Chastity, you're right. Insight and awareness are key. Let me see. 1 second. John said pose tonight. Yeah, John, that looks about correct. Autism and Relationships Part 6. We'll post that tonight. 7. Yeah. That looks about right. Part 7, and then how to unmask post tonight on. Yeah. John, thank you very much. Doing double duty, trying to post videos while being on the live stream. And then Tia says, I appreciate you. It's definitely just Tia. I'm Caucasian as hell. Okay, all right. So you're just white. All right, gotcha. Because in the Mexican community, Tia is an auntie. So I didn't know if you were a Mexican auntie or, but you're just a white girl. So that's cool. Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate that. Diana says, hi from Oregon. I'm ADHD and I found that as I've gotten older, 58, and have suffered multiple traumas, that the ADHD has gotten so much worse. I've even begun to stutter when I get upset. Diana, all right, okay. Well, thank you for sharing. And this is interesting because I know that there's evidence with autism, with skill regression, where, you get overwhelmed, you get burnt out, and you have to sometimes learn how to talk and how to socialize with people. I wouldn't be, surprised that you could also experience this within, ADHD. I believe ADHD is also a spectrum too. Just that we don't refer to it as a spectrum, but I definitely believe that ADHD, you can look at it as being, on the spectrum. And Tay Tia is just a white auntie. That's funny. Tay says, this guy likes me and I like him. He wants kids and I don't. Well, Tay on TikTok, if a guy likes you and you like him, but he wants kids and you don't, that's an incompatibility. I know you like each other, but I would, try and find some common ground on that before moving forward. And good question right here before I drop the second tip. Somebody says, when is the right time to disclose a mental illness when dating? Asking for a friend. I thought you would never ask. All right, so if you ask me, the right time to disclose mental illness when dating, I think this is a second date conversation. All right, the first date is for you to meet the person. You don't want to tell too much, about your business on the first date. Like, meet the person, get to know them, figure out if you like them. Because look, a lot of times you go on a date trying to convince them to like you. Do you even like that make you think of yourself? Do you want them? You have to ask yourself that question. Do you like them? Make sure that you like them and then see if there's some reciprocity. And then after, the purpose of the first date is to see if you want to go on the second date. The purpose of the first date is not to see if you want to marry them. You're going to need more dates. So I think that the mental health conversation, it's a second date type of thing. Now, some first dates go really well and y'all talk for hours and you get into your personal life history, and then the person comes back to your house, or y'all go back to the dorm or whatever the case may be. And in that situation, okay, I can see how you can get to talking about your mental health history. But I definitely think that it's, if the first date's 30, 45 minutes, keep it general, keep it brief. And the second date, you should have these conversations. And if you make to a third date and you haven't had that conversation, definitely have it by then, because depending on how you feel with this person, but if you're serious and you want to have a future with this person, I think that they should know that you have bipolar 2 or ADHD, or that you're on the spectrum, because once they know that, they can start to understand you. But you also want to make sure that they're also telling you about themselves as well. It shouldn't just be a one-sided thing. But that's a fantastic question. That's a fantastic question. And Aaliyah, yeah, autism and ADHD are they're sisters. They're sisters. I think ADHD is like an older sister to autism. I'm just making this stuff up. That part at least. Courtney, Purpur is my first time here. I'm glad I stumbled upon this live. I'm happy you're here as well. I've been really struggling with depression, anxiety, and ADHD. Also, I'm a mom of 2 beautiful children. Congratulations. I've been with my boyfriend 2 years, and thankfully he has been really understanding. But looking forward to joining your conversation. Courtney, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. If you missed it, Courtney, the first tip to date on how to date while being neurodivergent was go slow and assume positive intent. That will help with communication issues. And Courtney, the second tip, we got Central Oregon in the house. All right, what's up, Diana? The second tip is learn your attachment style. This is going to explain why you date the people that you date. And once you learn your attachment style, you're going to start to connect the dots, right? And we want to connect the dots instead of just checking out the boxes. We want things to make sense. So when you learn your attachment style, you be like, oh my goodness, this person I did, the person before, and then the two people before, they were all a certain way. And sometimes people, you'll look back at your dating history and you'd be like, I guess a question that I get often, when I'm talking to a girl is, what's your type? What's your type? You like black girls or you like white girls? And that question is so interesting because like I try to explain. I'm like, all right, it's not a black girl thing. It's not a white girl thing. It's not a Hispanic girl thing. In fact, if I could have all the girls, I would take all the girls. But life doesn't work that way. But my type is really insecure women. And I'm not saying that I'm looking for insecure women, but my attachment style is avoidant, right? So that means that when you're avoidant, who do you attract? You attract women who are more so insecure attachment. Avoidant and insecure go together like peanut butter and jelly. And the good thing about being avoidant is when you work on some of your trauma, you work on your issues, and you can come back to a healthier type of attachment. I feel like that's a bit easier, and just from my perspective, than going from anxious to the middle, because I see things from the perspective of being avoidant. So for me, in my head, I feel like, all right, me being avoidant, I can get healthy. Just have to address a couple of things, and then on the anxious side of things, she has to address a couple of things, and then if you're anxious, you have to put some boundaries in place. You have to put boundaries in place, and saying it is not good enough. You have to be willing to walk away. That's the only way that you kind of, not show an avoidant what's up, but like that's how you communicate to them, So this is key. Finding my crowd. Thank you, Austin. Finding my crowd. And by hearing by, I actually agree. When there's no expectation, and so I don't know if you're also avoidant as well, but when there's no expectation, avoidants tend to do a little bit better. That's what I feel. Let me see. And somebody on TikTok says, I think your vocation makes you a caregiver, so you are drawn to people you can fix in ways. Dang, that's big facts. Ooh. So much truth, I have to crack my back and crack my neck. Yeah. And I think a lot of therapists are like this. A lot of therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists and nurses, anybody in healthcare, I can see how we can tend to be a bit avoidant and attract certain people. And once I started to really learn about attachment styles, it made sense to me, because I look back, I'm like, all right, I've dated black girls, white girls, Hispanic girls, whatever, but they all tend to act the same exact way. They're all on that anxious, type of attachment, and I'm avoidant. So I'm like, now I'm connecting the dots. Yeah, Austin, go ahead and send me a private message so we can get you the book, the autograph book. My day picker has been broken for many years. Actually, my entire life, I give up dating. A lot of neurodivergent people say this to me. They'll DM me and say, I'm giving up with dating. I'm like, no, we don't have to give up on dating, but maybe we need to take a break and figure out who you are personally, and just give yourself some space to become the person of your dreams. And then everything else will fall into place, including the person that you're looking for. Aaliyah says, I totally get what being the insecure type. I think it all boils down to childhood trauma. Big facts. Aaliyah, you've been paying attention and loving the unavailable, because most likely a parent was not available or nurturing, and they look for someone to care for. Aaliyah, you see how you're connecting the dots? Aaliyah gets this. Eli says, dating with ADHD is no joke. I be forgetting people exist. And Eli and TikTok, I love the show right there. That's something that a lot of people with ADHD struggle with, where you forget that people exist. I deal with this where I have to put reminders in my phone. I live in California. My people are in Georgia. I have to put reminders in my phone to remind me to call my parents, to call my mom, to call my dad, because I could go like 2 days and I forget. I'm like, oh, dang it, I need to call my. And then I'll have like a 3-hour conversation with my mom or dad. So do you see how if you're in a relationship, this could be very difficult? A long distance relationship or a relationship where the person's not right with you, that person can be thinking, oh, like, what are you doing? Like, you don't text me. Like, what are you up to? Like, are you seeing somebody else, or like what's going on? So yeah, that whole thing where you kind of forget that people exist is a real thing. They come out to work after some trauma within a relationship. I gave myself a few years. Yeah, that childhood trauma, Junie, we gotta fix that. Flirting or fancy is one thing. We break our own heart when we try to make it something it's not. Yeah, yeah. And look, a lot of times we do this. You know, people normally tell you exactly who they are in the dating process. We just don't listen, right? We have an idea of who we want them to be in our minds, and then when reality hits us in the face, then we're forced to confront the truth, and then we're like, I don't like this. I don't like this. Out of sight, out of mind. Right? Yeah. People. Yeah. Megan on TikTok says, I romanticize everything, including people. And Megan, there's, that's a good feeling, that butterflies in your stomach type of, it feels good, but it can be a slippery slope when you start to romanticize people, because people are people, and people will make mistakes, and people will let you down, but then they'll pick you right back up again, so to put somebody on a pedestal, we're all just humans. Digital Auntie on TikTok says, I avoided dating for years, but hosted speed dating events. So it felt like you were dating. That's funny. I need an anxious avoidant girl. And look, on TikTok, whoever said that, yeah, it gets confusing. Like anxious avoidant, it gets very confusing because you're like, how are they anxious but also avoidant? Attachment styles, they can get complicated, but to know generally where you are on that spectrum, it makes dating a little bit easier because you understand yourself a little bit more. Today, I took my daughter to do an assessment at the school for pre-K. A while after being around people, I was drained. And well, I mean, for me, it can be draining being around people, but I like being around people. So I'll still do it, and then I'll need like a day to recover. But then the next day, I'll pop back up outside. Like I want to be outside and talk to people, but it does it can take out of you. When I mentioned getting diagnosed with ADHD to my doctors, I met with skepticism and an overly delayed process, or they won't even do it at all. I've switched doctors 3 times. So Brooke, if you truly believe you have ADHD, I'm looking at you. You have 2 kids, especially if one of your kids has ADHD as well. Yeah, keep switching doctors until you find, one who will. You deserve the right to be checked out for ADHD. And unfortunately, the way things are right now, a lot of people have to articulate and be their own advocate. Whereas it should really be the doctor screening you for, all the conditions, including ADHD. But sometimes you have to be your own advocate. I hate that. Leilani, how are you doing? She's one of our moderators. What's up? What's up? What's up? Make face spread, but life goes on. On TikTok, any tips for being burnt out? All right, so quick question on TikTok, and then I'll get back to tips. Any tips for being burnt out? So if you're burnt out, you have to understand that your body is rejecting your environment. Things aren't working out right now, and you can go on vacation to Mexico for a week and come back. And, people do this all the time. You go on vacation, come back, and you're like, oh, I'm at work again. That whole dread. It just means that you have to change something up in your system. I'm not saying you have to quit your job or you have to move away from where you live, but a couple of key fundamental moves have to be made. And only you know what those things are. But I would say look to change the smallest possible thing. Look for the smallest possible thing that you can adjust that can make the biggest impact and go from there. You don't want to bite off too much all at once. It'll frustrate you. Brooke says, my 7-year-old son has autism level 2 and ADHD. All right, Brooke. So these are all things that are like autism and ADHD. They're genetic, so your son's getting it from somewhere. either from you or from dad. And this is something that when you mention to the doctor, they should be thinking, we should screen her for autism. We should screen her for ADHD. So and even without a son on the spectrum, like if you want to be screened for ADHD, you should still be screened. So you may have to find another doctor. I know you've already like switched from 3, so that gets very frustrating. It's tough, but you are on the right track. When you get the right diagnosis and then the subsequent treatment, it's really life changing. So it's still worth it for you to pursue that assessment, But I know it's frustrating. All right. What a question. So before I answer this question, let's do a water break because we're 30 minutes, and then I'll answer this question and I'll drop the last 3 tips. But we need a water break real quick. Taylor says she's avoidant. Taylor on TikTok. All right, well, Taylor, if you're avoidant, then it means that we don't go together because I'm avoidant too. So you're not my type. Avoidance need anxious. Megan says, I know 4 women who took Wellbutrin while pregnant. And so on TikTok, to my knowledge, Wellbutrin does not cause autism. Let me just say that. To my knowledge, and I prescribe Wellbutrin many times for a lot of patients, and Wellbutrin does not cause autism, to my knowledge. But what do I know? What do I know? Big cheers! This is the water break. This is the time for us to go ahead and get some water in. You know that if you're neurodivergent, sometimes we forget to drink water. We forget to keep it funky. So it's time to get that water in. Also, a good time to take your medications. If you're on the East Coast and you gotta take your nighttime meds, it's 10 o'clock over there on the East Coast, 9 o'clock in Tennessee, Chicago. So this is a great time to get that water in and get your meds in. So big cheers, y'all. I get to do my and my voice cracks. Leilani, I would say, if you don't know what your attachment is, let's reverse engineer it. Figure out what your husband's is, and then go opposite, and that could be yours. Hopefully that works. All right. Oh, and Megan Angie on TikTok, yeah. Anecdotally, I get it. But I wasn't sure if you were asking about Wellbutrin and autism. So maybe I jumped the gun on that. Somebody says, if your date tells you they need a glass of wine or alcohol to get in the romantic mood, is that a sign to break off the date? I mean, if someone is buzzed or inebriated, wouldn't that be taking advantage? All right, okay, well, all right, well, shoot. Let's go ahead and talk about it. That was actually my 5th tip, talking about consent. So we'll just, talk about it right now. Consent. So this is very tricky, especially for neurodivergent individuals, because, you might, miss some of the social, cues, or, things can be awkward, right? Like when you're about to do the Mickey Thicky with somebody, right? Like, the girl comes over and then she's sitting at the edge of the bed and she's all like this, and she's like, and the guy just kind of sitting there, and then we don't normally talk about consent. Like you just kind of like touch her knee, and then like she she giggles, and then okay, I guess I should go further, and so it's already kind of, especially when you're neurodivergent, it's already kind of awkward to like figure out like, all right, like can I go for it? Like can you take your pants off? It gets kind of like so. Whenever alcohol is involved, for me personally, I had an experience when I was in grad school. I was dating a girl, and she just got like sloppy drunk, and it was just weird. I was like, it just didn't feel. Sometimes you have to go with intuition. If something doesn't feel right, it's like, all right, okay, like maybe it's not a good idea. So the question here specifically is, if your date tells you they need a glass of wine or alcohol to get in the mood. A lot of Americans do this. I don't know about people watching from other countries, but a lot of Americans do this where they need a little bit, bit of alcohol, or I gotta get a little high, before we do it. Um, Alcohol is legal, right? I'm in California, like, the devil's lettuce is legal over here. You can get high. But like, if you're early on in a dating process, I would say stay away from substances, please. Like, stay away until you get to really know the person and then talk about this, because you don't want to catch yourself in a situation where you're not sure if consent was like provided, or if, like, it gets very awkward. And the last thing you want to do is put yourself in a position where that person wasn't sure if they gave consent, or, if you weren't sure. Because sometimes, if you're under the influence of a substance, you're feeling happy and doing everything, but then you wake up the next morning and you might be like, was that what I really wanted to do? And then that would be an awful thing if you feel like you can't stand up for yourself. So early on, I say, please avoid all substances, all of them. Of course, just take what your doctor prescribed, but the alcohol and, the devil's lettuce, avoid everything, until you get to know the person, so avoid it if possible. Most people are of sound mind after half a glass or one glass of wine. All right, and look, Molly, if you're able to, control yourself and you feel like, oh, I can drink in moderation, cool. But it, like, sometimes, y'all know, a lot of us here have ADHD. We like to chase that dopamine, and the dopamine is not coming from the alcohol or the substance or the sex. It's really coming from the quest for that thing, right? So after you have one glass of wine, it's not the wine, it's the second glass that's coming up. So as the waiter is coming and then they're like, you want another glass? You're like, like, that's the dopamine, and you crave that, and it's easy to get carried away. So that's why I say just stay away in the beginning. Now, if you're married to somebody for 10 years and you know them well, yeah, go have all the, be as freaky as you want to be. You can be hella freaky, but if, like in the beginning, just avoid substances. Like, I like to play very, very safe with that. Oh, I didn't even make any noises. Alexis, how are you doing? And this is the link for the Discord. And so Aaliyah, I agree. When you're hypersexual, all that goes out the window. Yeah, I'm aware. So like, I'll give you all these tips, like, oh, do this, do that, do this. When you're hypersexual, you don't, there's fewer barriers in between. Is just one speed go. But if you're hypersexual, you're gonna have to make you thinking anyway. We can do it without substances. So especially in the beginning, you just want to be very careful, because you want to make sure that the other person has given consent. And also, even as a guy, you still want to make sure that you gave consent, because people think that consent is only like a, from a girl to guy, but it's also from guy to girl. Yeah. Wiki. Oh, I cracked myself up. Yeah. So Leilani has been married for 10 plus years, so she can be as freaky as she want to be for her husband. I feel like if there's enough to change her sense of personality. Yeah. Look, alcohol, man. You're not yourself when you're under the influence. Like, you're just not yourself. You're not yourself. And I do believe it's possible to be freaky without the substances. Y'all know that we can do it. Of course, do the substances make you freaky better? Yes, they do. But we know that we don't need it, because it's a problem when, because I can think of one girl that I used to talk to. I couldn't continue seeing her because she had to be inebriated to be freaky, and it didn't make me feel comfortable, because, like, consent becomes a big question mark. So if you already don't feel, if you feel like the other person's uncomfortable, you should listen to that thing in your body and just say, okay, like, why, and I'm, neurodivergent. I don't know what they are, but you should always be looking at the other person and say, like, are they okay? If you always have to be like drunk every time, like, are you okay? Alexa says, no drinking on dates for me anymore. Gone celibate, so at least at the freaky. So Alexis, I will say, celibacy does weed out all the freaky ones. Yep. It definitely does. It definitely does. I feel it after X. How much did I miss? I'll go ahead and recap it real quick right now. So and we got a little bit out of order because somebody asked a question that had to do with consent. And that was my last tip. So we'll make consent tip number 3. But yeah, we should talk about consent. It's weird. Okay. So Kamala, remind me when I finish the 5th tip to talk about limerence, please. We're having fun today, Leilani. Week. So to recap, the first 3: go slow and assume positive intent, communication issues. Because a lot of us, we can get a little bit sensitive, so just assume positive intent in the beginning. Number 2, learn your attachment style, and then number 3, talk about consent. And it's very weird to talk about consent because, like, I can come out here and tell y'all to talk about consent, but then will I actually think about doing it? Like it takes some effort to think about, all right, consent. But you want to make sure that you feel respected, and likewise on their end that they feel respected too. I want to undercover freaky, but only for Hey, oh man, I can't believe y'all allow me to do this. This is fun. Yeah, because and people don't think about it, but like there's a quote. I don't know who has this quote, but dang, escape my. I need to figure out who has this quote, but the quote says, "Everything in the world is about sex, and sex is about power." Right. So whenever you think about SA, which is an awful thing, it's not really about the sex; it's about the power, right? And the idea that somebody is entitled to somebody else's body is ridiculous. So you always want to distance yourself between you and then people who do that type of stuff. So when you have consent, then you can, you have peace of mind. Okay, I'm not doing anything wrong. And likewise, you also have to give consent as well. And let me see who made that quote. I think it's Oscar. I think it's such a good quote. And I know I have it. Is it Oscar Wilde? I should have just gone my first instinct. Oscar Wilde, everything in the world is about sex except sex. Sex is about power. Wow. Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde. All right. I'm pinned the tips. Thank you. All right. Well, let's talk about limerence right now. So, limerence, to my knowledge, is just like an unhealthy obsession with somebody. It reminds me of like parasocial relationships. So you take like an influencer like me, and then somebody who's like, "Oh, I love Dr. Coach," or whatever. And that can be unhealthy, of course. But limerence is where you bring that kind of unhealthy obsession into a relationship. And the reason why limerence is not okay, all right, so I put it on the screen. The reason why limerence is something you want to watch out for is because if you are somebody who you have put somebody on this extreme pedestal, what does that mean? That means that you're in trouble. You're in big trouble, because when your desire to be with somebody outweighs your desire for a healthy relationship, you're you're in big trouble because you're not going to implement boundaries, and you're going to disrespect yourself unknowingly to you because you really want to be with that person. You make that being with that person like like the air you have to breathe. And for that person, it can be really fun because then they can have you on the string like a yo-yo. Okay, I can make her do it. I can make Alexis do whatever I want her to do. Isn't that fun? That's very fun, you know? And sometimes people don't realize that they're, taking advantage of a certain person. And sometimes, you have your people who do this on purpose, who look for people who, create these unhealthy attachments to another person. And now you can just string them along and make them do whatever. I want Alexis to rub my feet. I want Alexis to go to Jacksonville, Florida, and then come back, and I want Alexis to do this for me. I want Alexis to not talk to me for 2 weeks because I don't want her to. I changed my mind. She should come. Like that type of, it's all about power. It's not even about the Mickey Ficky. It's just about power. And you give away your power when you put somebody on such a pedestal. So limerence, you really have to be careful with that. You really, 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 really got to be careful with that. And I've seen, it's rare that, because I think when you're in this state and, you're so infatuated with somebody, you think to yourself, oh, instead of changing like your attachment to them, you want to adjust how attached they are to you. So you want them to, like, the same love you have for them, you want them to just reciprocate that, right? So Alexis is like, oh, the way I love Alexis, now I'm just using an example. All right. So the way I love Kojo, I want Kojo to just love me this way. And are there situations where, let's say, Alexis is attached to me and then I become attached to her? Yes, but when you put somebody on such a high of a pedestal, they have no incentive to love you because you're giving them every single thing. Like, why would I start to put effort into this situation? Because you already gave me everything. You'll do anything I tell you to do, and you'll even disrespect yourself in the process. So I think when you see that you're becoming attached to somebody like this, you got to take a step back. You got to take a step back all the way. Take a step back all the way. And it's very healthy to have, right, you can't have any boundaries because you're so attached to the person, So this is where it's helpful to have people in your life who can say, hey, like, we haven't heard from you, like, like, what are you up to? Or this person that you're dating, like, tell us a little bit about it. And normally when the details come out, then people will be like, okay, I don't know if this is, I don't think this is healthy, And right, you think it's love, but you're not in the position of power. And Taylor says too avoidant for all that. Yeah. So and Taylor says been celibate for over a year and helped so much. Yeah. So there's a lot of power to celibacy. We may have to have that discussion on the show one of these days, because celibacy that might be, unfortunately, I know, because celibacy is not fun, right? But that could be the only way to really just see things for what they actually are, because that freaky Mickey Ficky, it just takes so much, it takes over your judgment, and you can't advocate and articulate what you really need because you're infatuated. So celibacy, there's a lot of value to it. A lot of value to celibacy. All right, now the fourth tip, let me drop that in here. But Taylor, you actually might be avoidant. So I'm rising in love now. Let me put if you, and Tracy, you're coming in at the right time. I can't spell the word you. What's going on? Tracy, you came in at the right time, Tracy. Bert says, I wouldn't want limerence for me or for the other. See my flaws and feel humanity, not some manic mixy dream girl thing. Yeah, a limerence, I wouldn't I wouldn't recommend that for anybody. It seems fun. you really feel like you're in love and you're getting everything that you want, but you're at a huge disadvantage. So just keep that in mind. All right. So number 4, ask for space early on if you need it. This is very important because we're talking about burnout, right? And if you're a neurodivergent, especially ADHD as well, but especially in autism, right? If you've been masking up and down, left and right throughout your whole day, at some point you want to come back home and just be yourself, right? And sometimes you just need some space, Like think about the times when you finish a long shift of work and you just hang in the car for like an hour and a half, and then your partner comes out and like, oh, are you not hungry? Why don't you come in the house? Like, what's wrong? And you're like, no, nothing is wrong. I just need some space. And it becomes an issue because y'all been spending so much time together, but now you just need some space, right? So early on in the dating process, when the person is getting to know you, you can either ask for space early on or just let them know, hey, sometimes, I, after work or just after living life, I get to a point where I'm just so exasperated and exhausted. I just need some space. And there's nothing against you. Like, you're still who I want. I still like you. I just need some space. Because if you take space, but your partner makes you feel bad about it, then you probably won't be taking, that much space. You won't be getting the space that you need, right? Because they might guilt trip you into it, or it could be a communication issue. They don't know why you're feeling this way. So they're like, okay, like what's going on? The whole time you just need a break. I'm just overwhelmed. I just need you to just let me be for a little bit. Please. Please just let me be, right? So early on, if you do this in the early on in the dating, like maybe how long does it take to build attachment with somebody? I'll say if you've been seeing somebody consistently for like 6 weeks, I think you can kind of get to know them, right? So fairly early on, just let them know, hey, like, I need some space. But the reason why it's so hard is because when you just meet somebody and, if you're in that honeymoon phase, the last thing you want to do is separate and be away from them. So when the dopamine has died down, some of us know this all too well. The dopamine has died down. Now you've come back down to earth. You still like them, but like, all right, the obsession is over, right? Party is over. It's time to go back to being who I actually am, right? And then you need all this space. Then they're like, whoa, what happened? Like, you switched up on me. Well, surprise. This is who I really am. Surprise. Yeah. 6 weeks. So I'm trying to think back. I'm like, what's a good, like, how long do I need before, like, you know, like, you know, like the obsession wears off? Like in 6 weeks, I could go with a girl to the beach. We could travel on a vacation. We can go on a road trip. We can go see a concert, and we can make all these memories. But at some point, and if you have ADHD, especially, like you know is coming soon. At some point, you're like, all right, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And then you wake up one day and you're just out of energy. And then your person's like, do you still like me? I'm like, yeah, I like you. I want to see you, but surprise. Right. Surprise. I'm sorry. Like, this is me, And also, this looks eerily similar to love bombing. So the love bombing that somebody would do, like, let's say a narcissist would do. Oh, because love bombing is the best way to get somebody. Oh, I'm gonna give you gifts. I'm gonna give you Gucci. Blah blah blah. Girls can do it too. I'll buy you a PlayStation. I'll get you tickets to the football game or whatever the case may be. But love bombing also works this way, where you shower. Then you look at them. You're like, oh, okay, look at them, so happy and comfortable. All right, I'm about to pull back on them. Watch. Then you pull back, and then they're like, what happened? Right? So sometimes this is why a lot of us get lumped into that category where they'll think that we're a narcissist or that we're love bombing them. And we weren't. We just ran out of energy. And that's all. The good old bait and switch. The good old bait and switch. Makes sense, yeah. Only now that I've been single for well over a year, I've realized that through every relationship, I never felt that I could unmask. We'll be talking about unmasking here in just a second. And actually, no. Let's talk about it right now, actually, Tracy. I want to talk about it right now because if there's ever a place where you should be able to unmask, it should be in your relationship, right? Like, keep in mind, your whole family, your mom, your dad, your sister, your uncle, your cousin, you didn't pick these people, but the person that you pick as your spouse, you pick that person. So don't complain. You pick that person, right? So you want to pick somebody that you can at least be yourself around. And there are so many people right now in relationships. Like, I know because I'm Dr. Kojo. I see the DMs that y'all send me. There's so many folks right now who can't be themselves in their relationship. Like, this is a real thing. It's a real thing. Yeah. Molly, being unmasked, yeah, it cuts out all the bullshit really fast. So that's what I'm saying with the previous tip. Ask for space early on. And this is like, I have to like talk to friends. I'm Dr. Kojo. I can't do it on my own. If I'm obsessed with a girl, like, I'll tell David. David knows. He'll call me. He say, "All right, Kojo, so you promised me that after you took so and so to Arizona to the Diamondbacks game, that when you come back, you're gonna chill out for a little bit." I said, "All right, David, cool." The whole time I was lying to David because when we came back from Arizona, like, I had like some concerts planned because I wanted to keep seeing her, but like, I gotta rely on the guys to be like, "Hey, like, relax, pace yourself." You know how you get obsessed over somebody for a little bit and then you run out of energy. So you need to put something in place, right? Put something in place. Oh wow, look at this, Genevieve. There's a reason why I didn't make this a tip. I'll tell you right now. There's a reason why I didn't make this a tip. Because Genevieve, you still want to have friends, and I feel bad for saying it, but how do I say it? So on date one, your person doesn't know who you are, all right? So if you come fully unmasked, the person will be like, "Yo, this person is weird. Like what's going on?" So like, I mean, be yourself as much as you can, but you don't want to like repel people. Because a lot of people that I know and love right now, I'll be talking crazy or like, sometimes I'll be with, a girl I'm dating and I'm like, "Oh well, I wish I had 3 other girls," and a girl that, like, girls I dated in the past, they'll hear me, they're like, "All right, Kojo, he's just talking." And then I'm like, because I'll say it to get their attention. They're like, "All right, whatever, Kojo, I'm just gonna go and do something else." And I'm like, "All right, yeah, I'm just talking crazy, right?" But some of these references, like, it can really hurt somebody in the beginning. So yeah, you want to be yourself as much as you can, but like, give yourself some time to learn that person, and likewise give them time to learn you too, right? Do I have family members with autism? I'm not sure. Queen asked on TikTok. I'm not sure. Man, I could be in the spectrum. I don't know. Be repelled by my nerdisms and childlike goofy joy. No. So Tracy, we want to see that. We want to see the nerd. We want to see the goofy joy. But sometimes we say some things that only people in our circle like know what we're talking about, and they know that's not an issue. So but like the childlike joy, like, I think that's attractive. Like, we should be displaying that on dates. I'll and I think, look, so Genevieve, Molly's saying, "I'll take you unmasked." So keep in mind that we are on a live stream, and the title of the live stream is "How to Date While Neurodivergent," right? And we're streaming on all these platforms. Like, y'all know what I talk about here. So we have some type of context already before we join this live stream. So it gives us liberty to make certain jokes and like laugh, and like, we're learning, but we're having a good time. But we already have that context. On a date where you don't know somebody, you're pulling up to Starbucks, they have no idea who you are, you don't know who they are. So a lot of things can be misinterpreted and taken for the wrong way. So just keep in mind, we have a lot of context here before we even start talking about everything. You know, what do you mean when you say? So, LaShawn, what I'm saying is, any girl who's dated me will know this. Sometimes I'll just say things, just and this is probably my way of wanting attention. I'll just be like, man, I want 3 girls. And any girl does date me for a while, will be like, all right, Kojo. All right, okay, whatever. I'm about to take some melatonin and go to bed. And then I'm like, I want you, I miss you. Like just talking. But if it's somebody that I don't know, I probably wouldn't say this because they would, probably go into, defensive. Like, why? Am I not enough? I'm like, I was just making a joke. I'm like, okay, that joke didn't land. I will throw it out and I'll never say it on stage. Like, so that's why the context really matters, right? Let me see. I love the younger generation. Kwame. Oh, what's up? Lighting. You try to help my lighting. So let me show you my lighting right now. So hold on. So right now I look good to you, right? But I got the light here and the light here. But I wish I had more light coming from me right here. Yeah, that's what you need. I want you to have more light. You got enough light. Like you see me, I have my light right here. So whenever time I'm on stream, I look like this. Can you pull up the LA and fix this? I don't know how to fix it. Well, hopefully I'll see you out here. But for the next stream, I think I may have to put the camera this way and then the light behind me, right? Okay. All right. I love you, bro. Thank you. All right, take it, twin. That's my little brother calling. He's like, Kojo, we need some more light. We need some more light. I don't know how cameras work. Like I'm only good at a couple of things, but the light here and the light there, I probably do need some more light. So we'll fix the light on the live stream. So, that's my little brother Kwame right there. I love him. Yeah, Tracy. Yeah, having people who have your back. Without my family, I could not do any of this stuff. Like family is so important. So even him just calling makes me feel really good. A properly placed candle. Yeah. We'll probably. Yeah. Thank you, Molly. Your light is shining bright. I appreciate that. Thank you, Coach. That's my little brother right there, Kwame. And hi says 3 girls. LOL, Doc is having a time. So I just said like I'm not saying I actually want 3 girls. Now I wouldn't like say no to it, but that meaning it literally. Thank you so much, Kwame. Can you touch on how sometimes all right, so Britta, this here goes back to what I was saying with the love bombing, right? So keep in mind that like when people think of autism, they think of right or let's take a kid on the spectrum, right? An autistic child, if you're a parent and you have a kid on the spectrum, you're thinking about how do I keep my child safe? Like how do I keep my child from touching the stove when it's hot? You have to make sure that you have to run the water before, your child gets in because your child might not be able to sense the temperature and then they can get burned. So all of these things, you can kind of like proof your house to make sure that your autistic child is safe. As your child gets older, your child will need some help on, making friends. Like, what does it look like when somebody wants to be my friend? What does it look like when somebody's trying to use me? These are all social skills that your child needs to develop. And without autism, a lot of us struggle to figure out if somebody wants to pull something from us or if they genuinely love us, right? So as you pass your formative years and you become an adult, you can get into a lot of trouble when you don't know how to, clearly delineate between somebody who is bad for you and somebody who is good for you. A lot of times the people who are bad for you, they love bomb you. So you can't tell that, they have some type of underlying agenda. Because love bombing works like 80-90% of the time, because who doesn't want to feel all that love off the rip? And when you're, autistic and you struggle to pick up on if somebody's flirting with you or if somebody's just like being friendly, a lot of people on the spectrum struggle with that. Like, does this person really like me, or are they being friendly? Like, they don't know which way to take it. Sometimes the only surefire way of knowing that somebody likes you is when they love bomb you. Because if you bought me a bag on Monday and you took me to Japan on Thursday, you take me to a concert next week, you probably like me, right? And people who are on the spectrum are especially vulnerable because people tell you who they are when they're dating you, but a lot of the signs can be missed when that love bombing is so prevalent. So I think it's important to teach your kids from a very formative age, like, this is how you make friends. And autism or not, like, all of us should be learning these skills. Not to stay single whenever I get the inclination today. I watch. This is amazing. This is amazing. Mel on TikTok, you have a question? If you have a question, let me know. Right, and Susie on TikTok says, I naturally think you're loving me. Japan, concert, dinner. That sounds like you like me. And Taylor's saying, the more you talk, the more I'm realizing I might have ADHD. Taylor, you might have ADHD. I don't know. You got to come to the office. You're welcome. Learn the signs. It's hard to tell who is good people and who's bad people. I know for me, the line between being judgmental and properly guarding myself. Look, this is something that I have had to learn myself. I don't know if I've mentioned it before. I talked about my early days in California. Like, I moved to California with 400,000 TikTok followers, right? So, relatively speaking, I was already kind of like famous or whatever when I came here. But I thought everybody in LA was famous. I didn't know how things worked. So after being here for 3 months, I lost $20,000 off the rip. Living with friends and like people not paying me back, and then I learned really quickly. I'm like, all right, so a lot of people are out for themselves here. So for me, the way I learn is by losing money, but I don't have to learn the same mistake too many times. I'm like, all right, cool. I see how things are here. We're not gonna complain. We're just gonna get back to work. It's all good. So like I have struggled to figure out like, who's really my friend, and and with social media, it gets very confusing, because it's like, like a question I ask a lot of girls, if I'm dating somebody, I'll be like, oh, like, did you Google me, or like blah blah, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I did, and like, I'd rather you just tell me what's up, because it's tough to trust people. So these are all skills I think all of us can learn. And I mean, maybe I'm on the spectrum, maybe I'm not, I don't know. But even sometimes my parents have had issues figuring out, who do I trust, and who should I keep away. So these are things that sometimes it takes us our whole lives to really learn, like, who our people are. So I think you can see how, if you're autistic, this could be especially difficult. Oh, you think I'm on the spectrum? Are you diagnosing me? Are we mute on people? Oh, what you mean? It eases my anxiety as well. So someone said, start taking Vyvanse and it works great for me. So the thing with the stimulants with ADHD, those medications help you focus, yeah, but they also help you regulate your mood as well. So that's why you probably feel calm. So stimulants are not mood stabilizers, but sometimes they have a mood stabilizing effect. I hope I didn't confuse you, the person who asked that question on TikTok. I hope that wasn't confusing. And Taylor says, that's why I'm avoidant. Oh, I'm autistic because I do a little dance. I've been doing the same dance for 4 years. My bro was like, Kojo has one move. Yeah, I got that one move, but that one move has kept me for 4 years. So I don't know. Zoe's doing good. She's with the family back in Georgia. So I have to decide whether I want to bring her back to California or not. I probably will, but my mom was gonna, she's gonna like throw a fit and talk about how she misses Zoe so much. But Taylor says that's what I'm avoiding. So look, Taylor, here's the thing. So I'm not the most trusting, right? But I learned, all right, okay, in life, you have to trust people, unfortunately. So, I want to grow a big business. I want to, promote mental health awareness. I want to, make more content. So how do I do it? So I learned my lesson the first time. I said, okay, this time I've had companies, try and steal money from me. And people will hop in a Zoom call and they'll smile on your face. And then when I'm seeing patients, so I'm not like focused on the content, trying to steal money from me when I'm not paying attention. I'm like, all right, well, now I need to take a break from seeing patients because you're trying to steal from me. So figure out a solution. I got a lawyer. All right, I got a lawyer. Lawyer will take care of this. Move on. But you don't want to let your trauma cause you to be somebody who doesn't trust or somebody who doesn't love again. So I've had to learn that. And like trusting somebody is a beautiful thing. It's scary as hell though. So I trust as much as I can trust, but my lawyer, he got my back too, because I don't want to get burnt, twice. So you always gotta just account for these things, solutions. I get mama suffering Aussie. I know I breed in Kentucky. So I think my people need a dog. If I get them a dog, I'll take my dog back. Because I kind of want my dog back. I'm not gonna lie, I miss my dog. Taylor says, totally, I pray about it every day. Yeah, and look, Taylor, you're also in Los Angeles too. So LA is LA is different from the rest of the world. It's still the greatest city on earth. I'd say it's the greatest city on earth. But LA, Taylor, what I'm talking about. LA is just, we are our own people. So we just, we're a little different. We're a little special. I'll say that. For autism, we think in patterns. Oh, you're saying we, so you're including me into the family now. My dog is back at home with my mom. And so the fourth one was ask for space early on. All right, the fifth one right here, I think we talked about this, but recognize when you're not being yourself. This is key. Chicago is an amazing city. Chicago could also be the greatest city on earth. Nashville could also be the greatest city on earth. Like all these are great places to be. Like I could live in Chicago. I really could live in Chicago. Chicago in the summertime is beautiful. I love Chicago. Iowa City. Well, look, Molly, I've never been to Iowa City, so maybe I need to come to Iowa and I might fall in love with Iowa. I'd love to go because I need to go to Iowa. I've never been. Iowa, Nebraska, Oklahoma. I gotta start moving. So the fifth tip: recognize when you're not being yourself, masking, and also keep in mind I didn't say judge yourself. Don't judge yourself for masking because inadvertently you're gonna do it whether you realize it or not. It's just something that you've been programmed to do. Society has taught you to mask to survive. So do what you have to do to like get by and have friends and have a job, but recognize when you're not being yourself. This is going to be key because when you're dating, you need to like look at who you are when like the person that I am when there's no cameras on, like the person that I am when my brother is here and like when we're playing and like when five guys, all of us are on the PlayStation and we're shouting at each other, we're yelling some F words back, and that's who you really are. That's who you really are. So understand that, okay, this is who I am. Then when I date somebody, see how, over time, because in the beginning, give yourself some time to like learn who they are and see if you even like them first before you explain who you are. But over time, right, you want to figure out who you are when nobody's there. And then when you are with your person, ask yourself, am I putting on the front or am I being myself? If you're being yourself around your person, that's a good sign. If you're not being yourself around your person, it's not necessarily a bad sign. All right. Don't go breaking up with nobody tonight. Like, don't impulsively do nothing that you don't want to do. But it could be a sign that you don't feel comfortable in that relationship. And if that's the case, then we have some homework. We have to figure out, why don't I feel comfortable in my own relationship? Why am I at home feeling like I have to put on a mask? you shouldn't have to mask at home, right? So that could give you some insight into a couple of things that you have to adjust. Pass law judgments for masking, but I'm trying to refer. Kendall, perfect. That's exactly what we have to do. Right. I'm masking private first and then figure out, all right, this is who I really am. Can I be this person around my person? I'm in the fam. LA is, yeah, LA can, Taylor, LA is his own place. What defines a healthy, beautiful relationship? A relationship where you can be yourself without being judged. Yeah. Which is really hard. Really hard. Really hard. Really hard. You fall in love with Nebraska people. Grew up near Phoenix. So, if I'm being honest, sometimes I'm afraid to travel to other parts of the country because I could go to Omaha, Nebraska, and move out there, find a wife, be on the farm, and then just I'll still make my content, but there's so many other great places in the country that are outside of California. And you can probably connect with people more in Omaha than LA. I don't know, but I gotta take a chance and go out there. The NPD that found me wasn't love bombing. He's a LCSW psych ward. Stalking. Wow. Britta, this is very interesting. The line here that stands out to me is I'm assuming you meant to say empathetic. And he found that out and loved it. This is kind of where we started to have an issue. When somebody who wants to take from you sees that you care a lot, it's a recipe for disaster. Kendall, for sure. I didn't think you play. Those are my two requirements to feel like I'm in a safe relationship: love and respect. Yeah. Nebraska is the armpit. Is anybody here from Nebraska on this live stream? I want to make sure before we start talking about Nebraska like this, but I have a friend of mine, one of the comedians who will be with me in Atlanta on Thursday. He's actually from Omaha, Nebraska. And one of his jokes is about no black people being in Nebraska. I think it's funny, but obviously there's got to be black people in Nebraska. All right, sounds good. I'll let you know. I don't know if my family's ready, but I'll let you know. Iowa versus Nebraska. I had no idea that was a rivalry. If it's like Oklahoma and Texas, go Big Red. I pulled yours, but where's my recognize who you are when you are by yourself, and then see if you can be that person with your person. I'll say it one more time. Recognize who you are when you're by yourself, and see if you can be that person with your person. It's very key. LA could be the best for jockeying for. Yeah, but I've already fallen in love with LA. And Genevieve, neurotypicals do mask. I do believe that they do mask, but neurotypicals probably have they unmask without judging themselves as much. I think that they unmask much more easier than we do because they mask to just fit in more. Neurodivergent people mask to survive. Neurotypicals mask just to get more socially acclimated with whatever they're trying to accomplish. But for neurodivergent people, you mask because the person that you are, you have a belief in your head that, if I show them who I am, they're going to reject me. And you believe that because you probably tried before and it happened. So once you felt that rejection, like, okay, all right, we're not doing this again. And you watched people, you looked around and you figured out what people did, and then you created some version of a personality for yourself, and you put that out there, and then you were just testing, and people are like, oh yeah, I like this person. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. I'll keep the mask on. I'm gonna just be this person, right? So that masking is done for survival. For survival. West of Lincoln is born. I have to look at a map to really see where Lincoln, Nebraska is. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I don't know where Lincoln, Nebraska is. And let me see. On TikTok, Alex says, as someone with PDA, ADHD, masking feels normal to me, and has CPTSD from late autism diagnosis. But right, so Alex, that's the thing. Look, this masking that you've been doing as somebody who has ADHD and is autistic, like, I don't know how old you are, Alex, but you've been masking. It probably goes back to elementary school. So if you've been masking long enough, this is just who you are at this point. So that's why when people get diagnosed later in life, it's so difficult, because they have to figure out, like, who the hell am I? And then as you start to unmask, sometimes you lose skills, you lose friends. It can be very difficult. And the first thing that your body wants to do is to put a mask back on, right? This is why a lot of people struggle in relationships, because as you unmask, your person's like, who the hell is this person? This is not who I married. This isn't who I asked out. And you are a different person. But at the core, you're still who you are. You just have to adjust yourself to survive, if that makes sense. We're past an hour. So another water break. If somebody can drop the magic word in there. I got some water right here. I'm surprised I haven't had to pee yet, because I don't have the strongest bladder in the world. R on TikTok says, being on the receiving end of masking feels manipulative. My ex admitted to being. So okay, all right. I will say this. And this is why empathy is needed, because if you're somebody you've been dating somebody who's autistic and they've been masking the whole time, as they start to become themselves, you will feel like, this person tricked me. Like it does come off as manipulative. I will say that. So yeah, you're completely right. It wasn't done with the intention to hurt, but it does come off as manipulative, because you're getting two different people. So yeah. Wow, I didn't consider that. Big cheers, everybody. I don't like to have brands, so I like to take off the. If it's not CVS, I'm not ripping it. All right, big cheers, y'all. Time for some more water. Hydrate or you dehydrate. This is cheesy, but I found it funny. I gotta find it, Leilani. I gotta find it, and I will find it. I'll find it. The two ladies at the bank today reacted two different ways to me admitting to needing assistance. The first lady's got a good example of how to treat a person with dignity. It was good. Yeah, and the person who reacted well, that's somebody who actually has a heart. And then sometimes the other person, that they could have been projecting. That's very interesting. My girlfriend and I are both neurodivergent, and I think I tend to mask, whereas she doesn't. But when she is herself, I think she can be very abrasive and quick to anger. So Patrick, I think what's happening here is, like, the person that she is when she doesn't mask can kind of get angry much quicker. But if she can work on, like, regulating her mood, it could give her an opportunity to unmask. Very interesting. Because of the reality of covert narcissism, our efforts just to survive can, yeah. Kimberly, I agree. Impossible to separate the mask from unmasked. I was diagnosed at 45. It wasn't even on my radar. It was very painful to realize and didn't make it easier knowing it. Now I isolate to avoid the drama. And Genevieve, you're not the only person who does this. A lot of people isolate because the drama, there's a reason why you skip it because it's draining. It takes time. It's just the way it's just so much drama. It saps the life out of you. But you still deserve to be appreciated for who you are, you know. But I know drama, sometimes if you can just avoid it, we tend to just kind of like skip it. And the person on TikTok says that, let me read all three so y'all can get it. Being on the receiving end of masking feels manipulative. My ex admitted to being neurodivergent. I suspected it, but didn't know how they would respond. He said it after the breakup. He ruined our trust. Wow. Molly, this gets the love of the show. I appreciate that. Yeah. When I go on my road trip throughout Nebraska and Iowa, I'm gonna need that $1.99. Remember when like 99 cents, like you could get gas for like what was it, like $1? I think you could fill up with like $5 to $10. This is like way back in the day. Way back in the day. Oh, our gas prices are Taylor knows about that. These California gas prices are out of control. But yeah, so for what's your name? Okay, I don't have a full name there. But I will say it's about masking. Just understand that neurodivergent people, when they mask, it's not meant with the intention of manipulating you, but it's gonna feel like that. So you have the right to feel hurt, but just know, like the first tip in this live stream, how to date while being neurodivergent. Assume positive intent. But it's really hard to do that when you feel that pain and frustration following a breakup. So number one, assume positive intent. But I definitely see I see where you're coming from. Gas is $1.99, man. Those are the good old days. Gas was cheap. Yeah, so those are our what's wrong with my mouse? Our 5 tips. Go slow and assume positive intent. Learn your attachment style. Number 3, talk about consent. Number 4, ask for space early on if you need it. And number 5, recognize when you're not being yourself, masking. Yep, those are 5 tips. Gas was 80 cents in 86. So I was born in 92, so I don't remember this, but I feel like I'm an 80s baby at heart. Because 80 cent in gas, I want to experience what life was like back then. That feels really good. And when I was a kid and just started to drive, gas was around $2. Salt Lake City. I love Salt Lake, by the way. I could live in Salt Lake. I love Salt Lake City. I need to go back. I dated a man that has Asperger's. He is 63. I have ADHD and I'm 53. He's from Liberia, very intelligent. I saw the difference between masking and the real person. I didn't mind. However, from day one, he said he was divorced and it was the best thing he ever did. Sorry. I ended up finding out he is still married. I was crushed. She is in Liberia. So many lies to keep that covered. So, Jennifer, sorry about your experience. And sometimes when people who are on the spectrum lie, look, if you lie, lying is not a good thing. Lying hurts the other person. I'm not here to justify a lie. But when you lie as an autistic person, it's done to avoid some type of shame. It still doesn't take away from the fact that you were betrayed. And this is deeper than neurodivergence, because this is a thing with people from different countries, and I'm from Africa as well. So maybe I have the license to talk about this, but people from different countries, coming to America, and then oh, Jennifer, I love you, Jennifer, I love you so much, Jennifer. We're gonna have kids, Jennifer. I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I just gotta go back to Liberia and just handle some business, and they go back to their wife and like 5 kids. Like that's a thing. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for that, and somebody's heart gets broken. So just very, very unfortunate. Feeling better after hearing stories. So Britta, look, that's why we have to have a safe space where we can share all this information, because if you are not neurodivergent, right, you're going to need some type of help to get through this life. And the way we communicate is different from how neurotypical people talk and communicate. So when we share our stories, like however embarrassing it is, it reminds us of how human we are. We all make mistakes, right? We all will get, like I have a friend of mine, actually, speaking of Jennifer's story, and Leilani, I don't know the answer to this, but when I find out, I will post it online. But Jennifer, speaking of your story, man, we can get personal tonight if you want to. We can get personal tonight. I have a friend of mine. I don't want to release too much information because I want him to tell his story. But he was dating a girl from another country. And this woman was beautiful. She would have tricked me too. Facebook, you hear me? This woman would have tricked me too. This woman was objectively beautiful. And, we had this whole thing of a Tennessee 8 as an LA 4 or whatever, But this lady was an LA 10, a Tennessee 10, Japan. She was just objectively beautiful. And I had a buddy of mine. He fell in love with this lady, and they were talking back and forth, sending each other love notes. And she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna marry you. You're my husband. I've always wanted." And he's a fellow comedian, so I'll say that. And he has quite a following, so I won't say his name, but this woman was beautiful. And we actually realized this on the 4th of July. So just a couple of days ago, we realized this because, we're all just talking, just a group of friends, and we're talking, and we're like, hold up. I'm like, hey, run that story back one more time. And as he was telling the story of like the girl coming over and everything, like me and my friends, we dissected the story. And look, I became a private investigator. I put my glasses on. I went to LinkedIn. I researched this girl. I'm like, I'm gonna go to LinkedIn and figure out who this girl is. Like I put 2 and 2 together. I turned into the world's biggest private investigator, and we put some facts together. And after we put 2 and 2 together, we realized that this girl was not who she said she was, and it crushed my friend. It crushed him, similar to the Jennifer story right here. Right, he had a lot of hope, and with guys, we have this thing called. I don't know how old y'all are in this live stream, but the young people today, like when you're dating, before you make it official with somebody, like you may have a roster, and the roster is just people that you're talking to. So my friend had a roster of girls that he was thinking about talking to. He cut off everybody for this lady. He cut off everybody for her. He bought plane ticket. Like he did the whole 9. He did everything that a woman would want you to do when you're starting to get serious. And when all the details came out and we realized that she was, playing him, it was very, very hurtful. And, it's a good buddy of mine. He also has ADHD as well. And, with ADHD, we tend to go fast sometimes. And then as guys, we have an issue where we see a woman, she looks subjectively, beautiful and all that. We don't think with our brain up here. So, it really hurt him and it crushed him. So, these things happen to all of us. So Jennifer, don't feel bad. It's not a you thing. It just happens to all of us. So we just have to take notes and then figure out, okay, like learn yourself, understand, okay, I'm neurodivergent. I tend to be hyper empathetic. I tend to, feel like I'm responsible for other people's emotions, and just learn more about yourself and then figure out how you can better advocate for yourself and articulate your needs. But Unfortunately, there are a lot of people in this world who don't have pure hearts, and if they can swindle you, they will do so. So just have to keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Yeah, Tracy, I agree. Sometimes toxic is just toxic. Straight up, it's just toxic. It's just toxic. And so R on TikTok says, how do you, let me answer this question, um, and eventually I'll prepare for the TikTok stream because we do the after party after we go live on Mondays. How do you create a safe space for a neurodivergent who won't open up while also meeting your needs? So R on TikTok, somebody who doesn't want to open up, there's nothing you can do about that. You can give them an environment to where they can feel safe to open up, but you can't force them to like open up their mouth and for them to talk to you. So the best thing you can do is to remove your expectations of yourself, which are attached to this person's opening up, right? You can't control that. So it's you trying to control that, which is bringing you so much pain. So just let go of that and let them be who they are, but also give them a safe space to where they can open up if they would like to. But if they won't open up, then hey, I mean, we can't control what other people do. Is it insecure if I? Ooh, Cooper, what a question. Is it insecure if I ask my girlfriend to unfollow someone I don't like? Cooper on TikTok, I'm gonna need some more details on that. I can't say it's insecure off the bat. There could be a real legitimate reason as to why you don't like this person, and I need more details because I don't want to jump the gun. So Cooper, if you're watching, can I get some more details, and then I'll answer it more. I thought honesty was a hallmark of autism. I am learning to sugarcoat and skirt without lying just for sheer survival. So I think honesty is part of autism, but it's more so the literal thought process. With autistic people saying things, they call it just as it is. Whereas with other people, we tend to, or neurotypical people tend to embellish, or neurotypical people struggle to accept things for being how they are. Whereas autistic people, like, it is what it is. And that's why I was talking to a friend of mine about this today about dating autistic women. So his wife is autistic, and he said that whenever his wife says something, she means what she says. And whenever he tells her something, she believes exactly what he says without, like, they never fight about, some type of subtext or some type of underlying, like, it just is what it is. That's one of the best things about autism. It is what it is. We always say, oh, it is what it is. No, it ain't. Because we're like, hold up, is it? But with autism, like, whatever you get is like, that's what they meant. They really mean what they say. So you tend to, feel like you can trust them more, if that makes sense. I need that from somebody too. I'm telling you, I need an autistic wife. I need my wife to pass the autism test. Yeah. Molly, I agree. Small talk is just, but Britta, I feel you on this. Like, the 7 I's and the 3 S's, like, are all meant. I feel you on this. When somebody tells you something, and you can trust that, that's all I really want. That's all I really want. Just tell me what you mean, and I'll take it as your word. And then when I tell you something, you can take it as my word. Like Lauryn Hill said, it could all be so simple, but you rather make it hard. Show up with the presence. All right, Brenda, I got you. I got you. That's what I'll do. I call it like I see it. I can't read between the lines and appreciate people who do the same. I feel the same way. Just tell me what you mean, and And I don't want to read between the lines. It takes too much like mental neurotypicals tend to sugarcoat. Yeah. Is Leilani, it's this is the best form of communication. I think this is the best thing about autism. I this is the best thing. And even if they say your breath stinks, all right, cool. Now I know my breath is funky. But with a neurotypical girl, oh, your breath stinks. Oh, are you sure? Like, you could be hating on me. But if an autistic girl says that you stink, you actually stink. Like that's facts. That is facts. And Cooper said, R on TikTok, thank you, I appreciate you. Cooper said she graduated school and she doesn't speak to him anymore, but he found out that she was dating me, and he ghosted her for a little bit, and I don't like that. I don't know his motives. So, all right. So Cooper, looks like you and your girlfriend are kind of young, but I will say that with social media has made dating so complicated because we have to acknowledge that Instagram exists and who people are following. Like, these are all things that make people feel a certain way. So I would say if that really means something to you, I'll bring it up to your girl. I don't think it's you being insecure. It's you expressing how you feel. Now, she has a right to say, hey, Cooper, I don't want to unfollow this guy because XYZ, but you're not insecure for expressing how you feel. And I know how it is. As a guy, sometimes we're like, we feel like we're doing too much when we're trying to express how we feel. But that's just how you feel. So thank you for giving me more context, because I didn't want to, I needed more information to give you a good answer. Patrick says, but how do you get them to understand that? So Patrick, if you're, so that's the thing about autism. Like, there's no, like, they get it already, like, you can't get them to understand that. Like, they only have one switch for the most part. I don't want to generalize, but the autistic switch is to be literal. Whatever they say, they actually mean it. So I think that for them, that's what comes natural to autistic people. So as neurotypical individuals, or if you're non-autistic, right, then you have to figure out, okay, all right, because our brain defaults to embellishing, or making things up. So now you have to remove the fluff and figure out what's actually true. So you have to rewire your brain to look at things literally, I sent a private email that could have burned. Okay. Molly, I'm not even worried about it. Small talk is what makes me accidentally say really inappropriate things that are hilarious to me, but no one else, just to break the shallow monotony. So Genevieve, this is what I was talking about earlier. A lot of us who are neurodivergent, we say things that are, it's not appropriate. We don't mean it, but we're just talking. But when you have your people around, you can say this, and they have that context where somebody else can take it the wrong way. Yeah, Leah, this is funny. I like my man with a low ADHD and OCD to counter my autism and chaos. Let me see, a little ADHD and OCD to counter my. This, I feel like I can sanction this relationship. A little ADHD and OCD, and then autism and yeah. That goes together. I like that. It makes sense to my brain. I don't know if it makes sense to anybody else, but it makes sense to my brain. Jennifer, yeah. And look, Jennifer, look, there's nothing wrong with being emotional about this, and that's one thing I think. As men, we look for other people to give us permission to feel things. Sometimes I don't know why we do that. Maybe that's that toxic masculinity that people talk about. But there's nothing wrong with being human. If you're human, you feel. Like with my homeboy who got swindled by this chick, he kept coming to me. He's like, "Hey, it doesn't make me less." I said, bro. I said, this girl, she was super thick. She was super fine. She would have tricked me too. You're not a bad guy for doing what you felt was appropriate. He took a chance of love and it didn't work out. Does it mean that he should stop? No, it didn't work out. You know, people are people, and sometimes it doesn't work out. I think Taylor Swift said that. Taylor Swift, the modern day philosopher. Cooper, anytime, happy to help. What people think of me is not my business. Big facts. Yep. Berta, I agree. I agree. I always thought neurotypicals were the more blunt ones. Okay. Kimberly, that's your perspective. So I don't want to not acknowledge that. I've felt like the other way around. Neurodivergent people are a bit more blunt, especially autistic people. They're very straightforward, but some people like that. I like that straightforward communication. I need to find a person who is okay just sharing space and still being able to do what we're both interested in. But at this point, anyone I date would be competing with a peaceful life. And Tracy, this is the issue with being neurodivergent and single for too long. Because when you're neurodivergent and you've been single for too long, and you found a way to bring peace into your life, you don't want to disturb that peace for anybody. I feel this to my core. I know exactly what you're talking about. But you're going to have to risk a little bit of that peace being given away for a chance of love. And it's very difficult. Very difficult. Excuse me. My baby's autistic. He's very high functioning. I'm apparently late diagnosed. Amanda, appreciate you. So we both have ADHD. And look, Amanda, the life that your child will have, he's going to do so much better now that you know. So now that you know, you can account for, the ADHD, the autism, as opposed to you have to go through your whole life and things never made sense. So that's the point. That's the point of all of this. So we can make sure that the next generation, they have it a little bit easier than we had it when we were growing up and undiagnosed. You actually pushed me to get my diagnosis. Never knew his dad was right. Sometimes the guys are right because they always say the women know everything, but sometimes the guys are right. But it could, in an interesting plot twist, maybe dad could have ADHD too. Who knows? The story is not over yet, so we don't know who is right. We don't know who is right. What about true crime? I think we learned to pair our unfiltered communication with empathy. Instead of me telling my son he smelled like a zoo animal, I say, can you smell yourself? Genevieve, at least the attempt to word it better was there. So, I think that attempt doesn't go unnoticed. It doesn't go unnoticed at all. And Cookie says, that's me, single, my dog, and happy. Look, if you're happy, then you're good. And as of life through Christ, someone says, dating has been so impossible. I realized I'm so inconsistent with communication because I realized most people want to play games or waste time. So yeah, a lot of people want to play games and waste time. And I think that people who want to play games and waste time, when they meet other people who want to play games and waste time, then it's a match made in heaven. If people who want to be serious, when they meet each other, that's the hard part, And if you leave it up to dating apps, the dating apps, I feel like their objective is to just to make money, So I'm not going to go on a rant about the dating apps, but I just don't feel like it works for some people. It works for some people. So hey, but being blunt doesn't mean you're not compassionate. Kimberly, I agree. Because sometimes people conflate being blunt with a lack of empathy. But you're just being direct, So I like direct communication. Of course, there's a way, you still have to have tact. There's a way to kind of say things because people have feelings. And that's the only thing that, for autistic people, you have to kind of just learn how to say something in a way that, somebody else who doesn't know you and has no context, like doesn't take offense, right? You don't want to lose your job because you told your boss that, he smells like dog shit, right? Even if he smells bad, you don't want to lose your job. So there's ways to say things. We got to work on that. I can see someone thinking they're divergent. The ones who see less blunt. Yeah. When unmasked, oh no, that's the truth, and that's why I try my best to create a safe space for my friends to just unmask and be themselves. Just like just be yourself. Like I'm not gonna stop being your friend. Just be yourself. And the good thing about unmasking is when you're unmasked and it's all of you and your friends just hanging out. When somebody is able to unmask, then when they pick you, you actually know that they want you. I think we don't talk about that enough. Like I want my friends to be my friends because they had an option to be somewhere else or to not be my friend, but they chose to be my friend. Not because I held a gun to their head. You chose to be my friend. And likewise, relationships should work that same way too. You chose to be my girl. Like not because you had to. It's like, oh, well, I don't have anywhere to stay, or like I need you to help me. You had options, and you said, you know what? I see how this Mickey Ficky is. He's disorganized. He's all over the place. He's late to a lot of things, but I choose to be with him. Like when you give people a safe space to choose you or to not choose you, whatever they do after that, you can't be upset about that. And that's how I live. But that's why, like Leilani's saying here, I just prefer it when we're all unmasked. Just take off the mask. COVID's over. Just show me who you are. What did Scooby Doo? Is this Scooby Doo? That was a show where people, you take the mask off. Like just tell me who you are, and I'm good. Exactly. He has behavioral health. He has all of it. But you gave me the reason. Amanda, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Y'all are far too kind. I'm just, I'm just making like videos off my phone. I appreciate you, Amanda. Thank you so much. It means a lot. So no. We're gonna have to have a whole live stream talking about celibacy for the neurodivergent community, because I think because I haven't found another way to really get your answers outside of celibacy. I'm looking for other ways because like who wants to have to go celibate, right? But that is a surefire way to kind of really figure out to figure out like what's what when it comes to dating. Dating apps for hookups. So Molly, you said it, not me, but I be thinking this a lot. Keep going, Amanda. This made my day. Thank you so much, Amanda. I really appreciate you, Amanda. Can you send an email to me? Can I send you an autographed copy of my book? If you email assistant@kojosarfo.com. Like my name is right there on the live stream, so because people misspell it. But please send an email. I just got a new shipping of books in, so like I'd love to send you a copy of my book. And actually, you and your son. So let me know his name, and then I'll send you all a copy of the book. I appreciate you. Oh, Brenda, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah. I be getting a little bit shy. I'm not a shy person, but when y'all give me too much love, it made me shy. Like if I was white, you'd see like I'd be blushing and stuff like that. Amanda Weirman, okay. So I'll just send this to my assistant right here. All right. I'll just send a video. Hey V, can we send autographed copy of my book to Amanda? So if you can just email her and get the details. All right. If I don't do it now, I'll forget. I know, and I'll be embarrassed. Like, oh, so I was gonna send the book and I forgot. Where's the link to the book? Amanda, can you drop the link somewhere in there? Put the book in the shelves. Genevieve, that's a good idea. I'll probably put it in the back there. It's a good idea. Somebody remind me. Y'all know I'll be forgetting things. Celibacy is not that bad. You avoid it, make you think you headache. Taylor, celibacy, it is that bad. Celibacy is that bad, but it's also that good. Does that make sense? Celibacy is that bad, but it's also that good. You either get it or you don't. Leslie Bills, he saw you. He was like, "Mom." If somebody sends my videos to you, it means that you need to go get tested. I appreciate you, Britta. Yeah, here's the link to the book. I'm not sure how it looks like, because if you're watching off of TikTok, the link might not be clickable. I think the link is only clickable if you're watching on Facebook. But I do appreciate you. Marjorie, what's going on? How are you doing? Vanessa, hey, I appreciate you. All right, okay. So we've been going on for 2 hours now. All right, I will go take a pee break, and yeah, all right. It's only 8:33. That's one of the good things about being on the West Coast. Like it's 10:30 in Tennessee, it's 11:30 in Georgia, but it's only 8 o'clock here in California. The night's super young. So yeah, I'm gonna go take a leak real quick, and then maybe get something to eat, and then we'll be back on TikTok in about 12 minutes. So that's gonna be the after party. We do the after party on TikTok where we can play music, because if I play music, it's gonna mess up this stream, like in terms of people playing it back on Facebook. So I probably said we're gonna go TikTok a while back, and I forgot. Like I just keep going. So yeah, I'm not sure what you said, but you are allowed to say what you said. Oh, I see what you said. I didn't study that. You're good. You go with me. Yes, ma'am. I will. Yes, ma'am. We'll get that taken care of. We'll get that book sent out to you this week. So, all right. 10:30. Go and watch. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. So keep in mind, if you catch the stream late, you can always go back and watch the full thing. I make sure that none of them get deleted from Facebook. So Facebook is probably the best place to catch all these streams, and I'm going to keep it organized on there, or I'll ask my team to organize it. And like I said, we'll be live on TikTok in about 10 minutes for the after party. So I'll see you all then. And for those of y'all in Atlanta, I will see y'all Thursday at the Uptown Comedy Corner at 8 o'clock. So until then, take care. Love y'all. Hey, Leilani, say hey to the kids.